Hi everyone, welcome back to FPL Fanatics. My name's Joel.
And my name's Alex.
And this will be our team selection video for Game Week 3. We'll run through our teams, how we did in Game Week 2. It's a bit of a mixed bag. And then we'll talk about our Game Week 3 teams and potential transfers and captaincy and all that good stuff. How are you doing, Alex?
I'm an emotional wreck, and I'm a bit emotional wreck throughout the whole video. After the 4-0 defeat that United suffered to Brentford, I've been humiliated by my friends.
Oh dear.
They've made it very obvious as to what that is. And I'm not looking forward to the fixture against you guys next week. We'll put it that way.
Bloody hell. Yeah, well, I am. I can't wait for it. It should be really fun.
Yeah, I bet you can't wait.
Yeah. My team, Game Week 2 has fared me okay, I think. I'm quite happy with my team going forward. You're more of a mixed bag, I'd say, but it's early days,
Is that just in life, or is that fantasy football? Because say that too.
Look at your rank down there. Look at it. We're not playing golf, mate. We're playing fantasy football.
Well, I don't like to look at the rank in the first few weeks, mate, because if I did, it made me a little bit depressed. I regret saying that immediately, because 2 weeks down the line, I'll regret that. That'll be thrown right back in my face. To be fair, I think, I've had a different week compared to you, and there's plenty to talk about from my side of things. I'm sure there's plenty to talk about from your side as well, but I think when things are doing a little bit better, you've got a bit more of a narrow mind, whereas me, I'm a bit like, I've got quite a few ideas in my head.
You've got a lot of stuff juggling around in that brain.
Yeah, my little tiny peanut brain can't hold too much, so I might have to talk through it with you. Yeah, my words entirely, absolutely.
Sounds good. Let's have a look, shall we? Let's have a look at how we got on in Game Week 2.
Let's go into it, man.
Right, my team got 74 points this week, which I'm fairly happy with, to be fair. I think it's looking in good shape. I think everyone kind of contributed. I think there's only 4 blanks in my team, which I'm quite happy with. Obviously, the danger going into it was not having Haaland against Bournemouth, but somehow I managed to get away with that, which I'm very happy with. I was out at a barbecue, but I was watching my phone constantly, and every time City scored, I was like, oh no, this is it. And 4 goals, and he didn't manage to get any. I was chuffed. And Kane managed to get one. That was the best thing about this game week for me. Kane scored. Can you believe it? The last minute equaliser. I was buzzing.
I have some comments about
that. No, you don't.
Oh, I do.
You just got to enjoy it. Kane scoring and Haaland blanking. Well, Haaland got an assist. To be fair, he got an assist, and I'm still worried about him. So it's not over yet. But I'm chuffed, and I'm gonna keep Kane for the time being. I think now after that. I'm very happy with it. That game was great as well, the Chelsea game. I really enjoyed it. I thought Chelsea dominated, though. I thought Spurs were very lucky to get away with a 2-2, to be fair. But Reece James with 7 points, I thought he played great, really advanced. Even when he was playing right centre-back for the majority of the game. But the positions that he took up, I mean, he scored a goal near the end as well, just tapping from Sterling. To be in that position, he was really high up the entire game, even though he was playing right centre back. I'm really happy I stuck with James. He's going to be a hold for me, I think. And Mount as well, even though he only got 2 points, he blanked again, but I think he looked a lot more involved and a lot more lively this week than he did last week. He got into some decent positions. He took a couple of shots, but his shooting wasn't very good. That was the only thing. He skied a couple, I think, but again, I think I'll be happy to keep him. Arsenal as well, scoring for fun. Martinelli, 8 points again, back-to-back 8-pointers. I'll take another one of them. And Jesus with 19. Only thing with Jesus is that everyone owns him, right? So, it's hard to kind of celebrate those 19 points unless you captained him. But it's good signs going forward, I think. And then, the only thing that let me down, really, was the captaincy. I've stuck it on Salah, 2 points, quite disappointing. Another disappointing Liverpool performance, really. Even though I think they played well, but just FPL points weren't there, really, except for Diaz. Diaz coming in with 9 points after that worldie of a goal. Did you see that? Did you like that goal?
Yeah, I mean, it was a ridiculously good goal, but he literally, after that, he had a good 10 minutes, but he literally didn't do anything, I don't think, the rest of the game.
That kind of perked him up, didn't it?
Yeah.
He seems getting more like goal-scoring opportunities after that. But yeah, I know what you mean. He was a bit, he wasn't as lively in the first half. It was a lot of running down the left wing and then passing back to midfield all of the time, not really getting into the box. So I have to keep an eye on him. But for the time being, he's done me well this week, and hopefully he can continue it. But yeah, overall, 74 points, better than game week 1. I'm quite happy with that. It took me up to about 600,000, and I'm fairly set, fairly confident with my team going forward. I think the worry is at the moment, I think a lot of people are in a similar position where like the template, quote unquote, looks pretty strong at the moment, and a lot of people have got 2 transfers, including me, and not really knowing what to do with them. But it just feels too wrong to burn one. I know you're not in the same position because you got Haaland last week, so you've only got 1 free transfer. But for me, it's almost tempting to burn a transfer because I really like the look of my team. But we'll talk about transfers in a little bit later. But yeah, I'm happy.
Oh God, someone is. Right then, so my week last week was not as good as yours. I got 61 points, which is 1 point up from 1 point up from the week before. I mean, a couple of disappointing performances from the likes of Bailey, Robertson, and Saka. And I'll include Salah in that as well, but I think Salah's like everyone owns him, so I'm not as bothered if he doesn't do too well. Bailey, the fact that Gerrard bigged him up on the press conference on the Friday, then he didn't start, and then he came on for 10 minutes, and they conceded when he came on, does not look good for him. Considering as well that I have Lewis Dunk on the bench, who got 7 points in that 0-0 against Brighton, against Newcastle, which I didn't expect. That was the one result I didn't expect, which is why I benched Dunk and played Bailey. Because
I did call that last week.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'd said it was going to be low scoring, and I think the whole week as well, I heard Bailey might not start until that press conference. So I actually had Dunk playing, so I had 5 at the back for a long time, even after our team selection, because that's when I heard it. And then I switched it back because I was like, oh, he's got to start with them comments. So really disappointed by that, and I think he's going to drop in value as well. I think a lot of people's kind of had enough of him, but it's such an awkward price point that I'm not too sure, to be honest. I think he's probably the weakest part of this team right now. But, moving on to a couple of other disappointing performances like Robertson. I think he was very, very attacking. Again, the same as Trent. But I said it, I was watching the game with my dad, and I said they are leaving themselves very, very, very vulnerable at the back. I think they just had Van Dijk at the back. And one long ball through as soon as they got the ball, and that was it. They were done, and I think they might have scored another one as well, which almost scored another one, which was offside, which was very worrying when I was watching that with 2 defenders. And I know the 7.5 and 7 million for a reason, but I think it's almost to the point where I'm like, I really want to give them another week, but I'm also like, it's so much money invested to not even get. I know you invested in them for attacking returns, but even they're not there right now at the minute. So I don't know. I think I've got something to think about with Robertson. As Trent, I think Trent's staying because he got a bonus point with just the amount of crosses that he was putting in. He's not like an option. But Robertson, I could use that money elsewhere. That's what I'm thinking. But we'll come to that when I talk about transfers. Saka.
I'll just say, sorry. Van Dijk looked a bit off it. But we're also, I think the error to the goal was kind of Nat Phillips' fault, and not to put anything on him, but he was he's like our 5th choice centre back, and if Matip's back next week or the week after, which I think he will be, then we already look a lot stronger in defence. So that's all I wanted to say about clean sheets. It could improve quite quickly, but yeah, I get your point. We're not. Robertson's had two pointers in a row, hasn't he? So it's not exactly what you want, but we do know he's a valuable FPL asset from the previous season. So
Yeah. To be honest, if it was me, I'd have started Joe Gomez over Nat Phillips. So I don't really understand that. But
I don't think I think he wasn't quite fit enough. I think he had a little niggle in training or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's a decision to kind of think about later down the line. I'm not sure with him. Saka again played really well. A little bit of a disappointing performance. I think it's just because Martinelli's doing so well and he's cheaper. That's why I'm thinking he's not doing great. Do you know what I mean? And it hurts because everyone's got Martinelli in, but and a few people's got Saka in, but they're almost switching as well at this moment in time, which is worrying for me because he could drop in value, and also it's increasing Martinelli's value if I ever went to go for him as well. So he's a little bit of a worry. Neto, I'm not too bothered about because he's just, I think for 5.5 he's one of the better options, so I'm kind of happy to stick with him for now. He's not a main worry. But the players who have done really well who are not going anywhere for the time being, Cancello, Jesus, Haaland, Ramsdale, yes, he got a point, but I think Leicester was always going to score, and I was always prepared for him not to get a clean sheet this week based on that. It's always like a high scoring game as well, so I wasn't too fussed about that. Trippier, I think, is going to stay for me. I just think Newcastle are just look really good right now. I know they've got City this week, and I know they've got Liverpool in a couple of weeks, like you said. But I just think in the games around them as well, they're really good games and good fixtures for Newcastle. So I think the fact that I've got Dunk on the bench, I can bring him in and put Trippier on the bench, for example. And again, Dunk had a very good game as well. Brighton and Newcastle were both evenly stubborn in terms of their defence. I don't think they were necessarily great going forward, but that's not what I expect from either of the teams. And the 0-0 was probably one of the most likely outcomes when you think about it, but I didn't dare start them both because of that reason. I thought, what if one gets a goal or both get a goal and that clean sheet's wiped out, so I didn't bother with that. But Haaland was, I think he should have had a tap in from Foden, I'm sorry. But Foden literally could have tapped it in and it'd have been a different story then. He got hooked at half time as well, and I think he got hooked at half time because he had blinkers on and Pep was not happy. Because that team is clearly built around getting Haaland goals and the ball. And the fact that he only had 2 touches, but the fact that if he'd have scored that, I'd have had 3 touches and it'd have been a goal and assist in 3 touches, which is just absolutely mad. So he's not going anywhere. I agree Newcastle is a difficult fixture, but again, the fixtures after that are really good. But 61 points, a little bit disappointing with a few players, and I think that's going to kind of sway my decisions when it comes to transfers, but we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Right then, the exciting part, onto my team for game week 3. And let's start, as we always do, with the goalie, Ramsdale in net. Bournemouth away, I think a great fixture for Arsenal. I'm expecting a clean sheet here, I'm not going to lie. I'd be quite disappointed if we don't got one. I think it's a perfect fixture for the Arsenal defence. Obviously, they conceded 2 against Leicester, which wasn't great, but it's Leicester in it. I think Leicester can score any time when they've got players like Maddison and Vardy on the pitch.
Absolutely.
They're always going to be a danger. Yeah. When they're playing Bournemouth, even though it's away, I think it's a very good chance of a clean sheet there. So very happy to have Ramsdale in net. Then I've got Kieran Trippier, playing Man City at home, which, I'm not ecstatic about starting him there, which is why I might not be starting him there. But we'll get to that in a little bit. The problem with Trippier is he's a great player, right? And he's kept 2 clean sheets in the last 2 weeks. It's almost like, why would you get rid of him? But the reason is because he's playing City and then he's playing Liverpool very soon. They're tough fixtures. So I might be thinking about moving him on, but we'll see. I've got a few options. But having said that, St James's Park, it's not going to be easy for City, which I'm quite hopeful about. I'm quite hopeful it's going to be, they're going to absolutely keep him out and keep him to a low-scoring game, which is good for me because I don't own Haaland. So that calms my nerves a bit with Haaland, but, it's easier said than done, right? But
absolutely.
yeah. So we'll move on to Reece James. Leeds away. I think Leeds could score here. This is what's worrying me.
I think
I think I agree. They've got Leeds and then they've got Leicester as well right after it, which look like good fixtures on paper, but I think the more good attacking fixtures for Chelsea rather than defensive fixtures. You could see Leeds and Leicester both scoring against Chelsea, at least I can, I think. But the thing is with Reece James, like I mentioned earlier, just that he's so attacking. He's going to get those attacking returns right, and Leeds is a prime fixture for those attacking returns. I think Leeds' defence is still very shaky, so I'm happy to keep Reece James. I'm happy to keep him for the foreseeable future, to be honest, because he's that good. I think he's really good value at about 6 million.
I agree.
And then we've got Kyle Walker and Newcastle away. So, like I said, I think it's not the best attacking fixture for City, but in terms of defence, I think they can keep Newcastle out quite easily. I think this is another one where I'm expecting a clean sheet. Cancello hurt me this week. I didn't own him and he got an assist. But the way my team's structured at the moment, it'd be really, well, not really difficult, but it'd be a bit of a pain for me to get to Cancello. Although it is an option that I've thought about, but at the moment I'm happy to stick with Kyle Walker. And Newcastle away, and then Crystal Palace as well. Crystal Palace played well against City last season. They could keep them out again, so they're not even though it looks, I'm expecting a clean sheet, Newcastle can always score, Palace can always score, so you never know. I'm quite happy just to stick with Kyle Walker on this one. And then I've got Trent rounding it off. He's not going anywhere. Man United away. It's actually a great fixture for Liverpool, this. After two disappointing draws against Fulham and Palace, it feels like United is a real tasty fixture for them to build the confidence back up. I'm not even trying to be mean, but it does kind of feel like that. But United could score. They've got Ronaldo there. He can always score. So it's not a guaranteed clean sheet for Trent by any means. But again, like Reece James, the attacking potential's there for him. So it's a definite hold for me. And if we move on to midfield, same with Salah, Man United away. I think this is, again, a perfect game to build his confidence back up because, a lot of people saying he's not the same Salah as what we saw last season and stuff. And yeah, he's not been looking as sharp, but this is where he got a hat-trick last season at Man United. So he could do the same again. This is a fixture he likes. It's tasty. And I think there'll be a lot of buzz around it. I think it'll do wonders for the Liverpool team if they can perform well here. And same with Luis Diaz. Scored that great goal. He's going to want to continue that form. Come on, let's have him.
Can we move on, please?
Yeah, sure. Right, then I've got Martinelli. I know. I didn't want to come into this and start slating Man United, but it's hard not to. It's hard not to mention them, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, we'll leave it alone. We've got Martinelli, Bournemouth away next, and a great fixture for him. I think Arsenal are just scoring goals for fun. They just can't stop. And Martinelli's been involved both weeks, so I'm really happy that I bought him. Unlucky for Saka owners, I think, because it was quite close between them two, and Martinelli just seemed to edge it these past 2 weeks. But if I had Saka, I think I'd still be confident holding him, especially with the fixtures coming up. Bournemouth's a great fixture. I mean, Bournemouth, I think they had the best defence in the Championship last season, but it's the Premier League, and it's Arsenal. And I think it could be like City last week. It could be a 3-4-0 of this. So yeah, very happy to keep Martinelli there. And then I've got Mason Mount rounded off my midfield. Disappointing so far, two pointers. But like I said, he looked more involved last game, and I think Leeds away is a perfect fixture for him to bang in. And if he doesn't bang in this, then I could maybe consider him moving him out because 3 blanks in a row is a bit much. But Mount always seems to be a player as well that when you take him out, he bangs. And he's quite explosive, right? You can see him getting like a 13-pointer and then maybe be quiet for a couple of weeks, and then like a 10-pointer. He seems to be like, on those levels where he's just up and down quite a lot, less consistent. But if he does get, those high pointers every now and then I'd be happy to keep him, no problem. And then up top, we've got Zeus. 19 points last week. He's not going anywhere for me. Like I said, it's annoying that everyone owns him. But it could be a captaincy shout this week. Bournemouth, great fixture. If he keeps playing how he's playing, I think the goals are still gonna come. Very happy to own him. And then Harry Kane, the man himself, he's not going anywhere. Playing Wolves at home, I think it's a great fixture for him. And I'm really happy to own Kane now. I'm not saying that it was a bit of a fluky goal in the last minute, but I'm just so happy he did get that goal because I just feel like I'm more confident owning him now. And Haaland's got trickier fixtures over the next few, whereas Kane's got Wolves at home, and he's got Forest next week, West Ham, and then Fulham. I think he's a great asset to have. I'm not selling him. I'm not selling him for, the temptation before this week was to maybe downgrade him to Darwin, but obviously we know what's happened there, so that's not going to happen now. So Kane's my man. I'm sticking with him. Then on the bench, I've got Ward, Nico Williams, who plays Everton away. Nico Williams looked really good, to be fair, against West Ham.
Very, very
really
attacking.
Lively, very attacking. I think he was quite fortunate to keep the clean sheet because West Ham was.
Yeah,
I think they should have
penalty as well and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, they hit the bar 2 or 3 times, didn't they, as well? So
yeah,
lucky there. But like you said, he was getting a lot of into a lot of attacking positions, a lot of crosses. I think he had 3 shots in the box or something, which is kind of unheard of for a defender. So at 4 million is great value, and I could potentially start him this week. And
that's what I was thinking.
Might do,
yeah,
but I think if I do start him, I don't know what transfer do I make.
Yeah, that's
so at the moment he's on the bench, but I can always change my mind about that. We'll see. Then I've got Andreas Pereira, Brentford at home. He's flagged for an injury, but I'm not really sure what's happened there.
I think it was something to do with it was like a muscle thing because he came off in the 87th minute, but I think he's going to be fine. I don't think it's anything to worry about. It's like if a player comes off in 87th minute and they report it's a muscle injury, they just put a flag on him, whether he's right or not for the next game.
Yeah, of course.
So I wouldn't worry too much about it, to be honest.
Yeah, so he's a potential starter as well. I didn't watch the Fulham game this week, but game week 1 he looked really lively, didn't he? But
yeah,
we'll see about him. Still unsure. And then there's Plange, good old Plange. He's just going to sit there for the rest of my season, I think. Even though he's the wrong pick, and Archer for Villa's obviously the better 4.5 million forward. I'm keeping Plange because he's my boy. He's just going to sit there and look pretty on my bench. I don't mind it.
Fair enough. The only time you might change him is maybe in wild card if you're going to get 3 attackers or something, because I think that might be the only time I change Archer as
That's
well.
true.
If I decide to go 3 up top, it just depends because there's a number of options, isn't there?
Yeah, and Plange unfortunately isn't one of them, which is sad. But yeah, you're right. I might have to change him at some point. We'll see down the line.
Yeah.
So let's talk about my transfers because I'm in between 2 minds, but I think I'm leaning towards one more than the other. But we'll talk about them now. Right then, so onto my transfer plans. To be honest, if I only had 1 free transfer this week, I'd definitely be rolling, and I'd be playing Nico Williams like you suggested, because looking at this team, I'm really happy with it, and I don't think there's too many areas that are problem areas for me. I don't think there needs too much improvement. But because I do have 2 free transfers, I think I've got to use one, because burning one in game week 3 just seems like a bit of a waste. I'm not one for burning transfers because the pressures, right? And even though this season's a little bit different because we can pick so many players from high scoring teams that it's kind of made the game a bit easier, I think. But I'm making one anyway. I'm pretty sure I convinced myself to make one. So looking at my starting 11 here, the one man who is a bit out of place is Kieran Trippier for me, just because he's got that Man City at home fixture. And then, like I said, in a couple of weeks he's playing Liverpool as well. So I think he's the one who's going to make way for me. And I've been thinking about who to bring in. He's got to be, I've got no money in the bank, so he's got to be either a 5 million or 4.5 million defender. And I just prefer the 5 millions to the 4.5s at the moment. But I've already got, Kyle Walker. He's the standout, I think. I was looking at Nathan Ake because he's 5 million as well, but we just don't know exactly when Laporte's going to be back and when when John Stones is going to be back. They're obviously going to be threats as soon as they are fit and ready. So I don't really want to touch him because he'd be too short term. But then I was looking at Eric Dyer for Spurs, who might be the most boring fantasy asset there is. But if you look at Spurs' next two in particular, Wolves at home and then Forest away, I can definitely see 2 easy clean sheets there. So even though he's not exciting, he's not a Doherty, he's not a Perisic, I think he's kind of a safe pick over the next 2, at least. Over the next 2 weeks, I think he's a safe pick for clean sheets. So I am half tempted by Eric Dyer. But saying it out loud is it just makes me feel a bit dirty because he's just the most boring transfer I could ever make, to be honest. So the other option I've been thinking about as well is Cucurella, Chelsea. It looks like he's going to be starting, at least short term. I think Chilwell's still not much fit. I think he played a game with the developmental squad the other day, so he's obviously not quite at the peak fitness that Tuchel wants him at. I think he said he'd use him as a substitute actually, which it's promising for Cucurella's chances. He looked really good in the game against Spurs as well. Looked really lively. Got an assist. Yeah, got an assist from the corner, didn't he?
Yeah.
For Koulibaly. Yeah, so I think he looks great. Great value for 5 million. I think he could be like a short-term pick, but that's fine with me because, like I said, I've got 2 free transfers. I'm struggling to use them. I'll probably have 2 next week and be struggling to use them. So if he does become a problem, I really don't mind taking him out. And the wild card is surely not going to be too long away now either. So for a short-term pick, I'm quite happy with going with Cucurella. I think that's going to be my transfer this week is Kieran Trippier to Cucurella. The only issue I have with him really is, like I said before, the next 2 fixtures for Chelsea, Leeds and then Leicester. I can see goals there and I won't be surprised if he loses a clean sheet. So doubling up on the Chelsea defence is a tiny bit of a concern, but I think you can make the same argument for him as you can for Reece James in that they're just so attacking. Those wing-backs for Chelsea are they're basically playing the wingers. So when he is playing at left-back and when Reece James is playing at right-back, then there's got to be points there eventually. So I think that's my transfer. What do you think?
I think out of everyone you said, I think Trippier is the most obvious transfer to make, like you said, because you think you have to make one. I agree. But I also, I think Newcastle could potentially keep a clean sheet against City. I really do. Because look at what they've done against Brighton. Look what they did against Forest. Now, Brighton are not the most attacking team, but they are very good defensively as well, and they kept a 0-0. But I think, like you said before, St James's Park is just like a fortress, and I'm pretty sure. Remember last year, I think Newcastle against Liverpool, and it ended up like a low-scoring game. So I think they've got the ability to keep these attacking teams out, just like kind of Palace did with Liverpool. They just defended really, really high and got them on the counter, right? Because I think last time maybe they faced, I think Callum Wilson might have scored against City. So I'm not entirely convinced. I mean, I'm saying that because I've got Trippier myself. If I had the option to move him on, you probably would do. But I'm just saying I don't think it's as cut and dry as you think. But
yeah, totally. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Yeah, 100%. I think Newcastle have improved that much that there is a possibility for a 0-0 here.
Yeah,
but just it's Man City in it, and it's risky playing anyone against Man City really.
Absolutely.
So while I've got a transfer to use, he seems like the obvious guy to go.
But I think for me, I think Cucurella is a great shout. The only thing I'm unconvinced by, and I think it's only because it's been one game and he started, I think if Chilwell does come back, Chilwell's going to be a left wing back and Cucurella's going to be the left centre back. Because I think he's good, because he played that for Brighton last year. So I think
potentially.
I think when Chilwell comes back, because I think he will, because they've paid 50 million for him and they paid obviously like 60 mil for Cucurella. I think they're going to try and get them both in. And I think out of the two, Chilwell's the more attacking wing back, and out of between Cucurella and James, James is the more attacking wing back. So I think, for 5 million, I think he's a good shout, like a like for like. But like you just said as well, I think you said it yourself. The next two fixtures, I can see them conceding. So it going in with double, I don't know if it's like almost too soon. But at the same time, I much prefer Cucurella than Eric Dyer. The only thing I'll suggest is, have you thought about like Ryan Sessegnon? Because he looked great, to be honest. And I don't know if Doherty is just going to come straight back in that team. I think Perisic might.
Yeah, he's just too risky for me, because I don't really want to be touching any of the Spurs wing-backs at the moment until we know more information, because it's too risky. Like you said, Doherty, he didn't even appear last week, I don't think, but you never know. He could get subbed on at 50 minutes. I don't know. He's just too risky. I think Sessegnon is a little too short-term. There's just too many question marks, and I know you could say the same for Cucurella, but I think he's holding that spot for the time being more than Sessegnon will. I don't know. That's just my thinking, because we don't know when Chilwell's going to be back. Well, he might be back this week, but he's not starting, is he, Chilwell?
No,
he's not going to start.
I think
he's not up to the intensity of the 90-minute games yet, because he missed basically all of last season. I think he really needs to be eased into it, and I think Tuchel said he's going to use him as a substitute for the time being. So as long as Cucurella makes it 60 minutes, that might be even better for a defender. There's more chance of a clean sheet there. So.
No, yeah. I agree. I'm just trying to think of alternatives. Like Sessegnon, I think it's 4.5 million as well. So it's not as bad, if that makes sense. Because I think, like you just said about Nico Williams, you wouldn't mind playing him if you had one transfer this week, right? So say Sessegnon didn't start, he might not come on as well, and then you could get Nico Williams off the bench. But Sessegnon, I think, is so much more attacking as well. Nico
Williams, though, we were just saying how attacking Nico Williams looked. I'm not sure that he is.
Just
to counter you as well. Looking at Sessegnon's minutes here, game week 1 he played 65 minutes and came off, and then against Chelsea he only played 56 minutes and came off, which is not what you want.
Is that because Chelsea were absolutely all over him though? Because they kind of was. Like we said earlier, they got incredibly lucky. So I think maybe against the bigger teams he's not an option, but like you've just said, the next couple of fixtures are quite good. So maybe he's a man who can get you some. He got a goal. He got the first goal for Spurs like this season. So I don't know, for 4.5 really mil, I think he's not a bad shout. But I can't argue with Cucurella, but I also could not turn around and say Chilwell might start, or he might play left centre back and Chilwell might play and then come off, and then he might move to left wing back or whatever. Because I think given a couple of weeks or whatever, when he's back up to fitness, he will 100% start Chilwell, and he is more of a left wing back than a left centre back, Chilwell. So I think if he does, then Cucurella will go left centre back. Personally,
I'm genuinely a bit more tempted to go for Eric Dyer than I am Sessegnon though.
I can't believe that. Honestly,
he's just safer. He's a 90-minute man, and for the next two fixtures, that's what you want.
That's all you need.
I think it's. I think I'll look back on this in 2 weeks' time when I've gone for Cucurella and I'll go, oh, why didn't I go for Eric Dyer?
That is a sentence I've never thought I'd hear you say. I don't know if I'm disappointed by that or not.
That's the thing. I can't actually bring myself to do it because he's just too much of a boring pick. But
FPL's meant to be exciting. There. You can't be any more exciting than Eric Dyer, right?
I know. But no, I'm pretty much locked in. I think I'm going Trippier to Cucurella.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. That's a good shout.
Right, so on to my captaincy choice. Looking at my team, I think there's a good few options. I think there's 2, maybe 3 in particular that are tempting me, but there's one that stands out, and there's one that's my old faithful that I'm going to go Salah. I'm going to go Salah against United away. Is that what you expected? Or were you thinking I was going to go for Kane, Wolves at home?
No, I didn't think you would go for Kane. I thought you'd go for Salah mainly because last time, remember when because I think are you at Old Trafford as well, aren't you? Liverpool are at Old Trafford. Last time we had that game, Salah scored a hat-trick and they absolutely obliterated us. So, and I remember a lot of people didn't captain him that week, and I was like, why did I not captain him? And I just think
it was the famous
could potentially be even worse.
It was the famous people went for Havertz, didn't they, against Norwich. And the 1-7-0 and Havertz weren't involved in any of the goals. And Salah got a hat-trick. Yeah, I was lucky. I captained Salah there, luckily. Yeah, I don't think he's going to get a hat-trick this time. Although I say that just because Liverpool's not quite at the level that they want to be at the moment. But also, United are also quite a step down at the level that they were even last season. So it's Kane at Wolves at home is almost tempting because I think that's a good fixture for him, and I think it is about time he starts bagging. He's been a little bit too quiet these past 2 weeks. I think he's gonna outscore Haaland again this week. I do. I think it's a better fixture for him. And then Jesus, you can't look past him as well. Bournemouth, after he's just scored a 19-pointer, I think people are still going to be overlooking him this week. But yeah, to me, whenever I'm not 100% sure, this is one of my rules of fantasy. Whenever I'm not 100% sure on who's captain, I'm just going to go Salah. And more times than not, it seems to work out, right? Because he's just the best player on the game. But yeah, he's not. He didn't look too sharp last week. He missed a couple of half chances, which you figure he'd usually score or at least get on target. So he's not quite on the mark. But I'm just gonna, by how poor United are at the moment. No offense, by how poor they are at the moment, it's too difficult to say no to. I think. Would you agree?
I think Liverpool's game is all about the press, and we looked at that Brentford game, we can't handle the pressure when we've got that kind of pressure on us. They can't handle it, and we're not good enough to pass it around the back. And I think Salah and Diaz and whoever starts instead of Núñez, because I don't know who that will be. If you've got anyone fit, I don't know. It could be like Carvalho on one of the wings and maybe Salah down the middle or something if Jota and Firmino's not fit. But I think as long as them three press, I think you could definitely have a field day, and I think it could almost be worse than last year, which I'm not going to lie to you, I don't know if I really want to watch this game.
No, yeah, I bet, to be fair. So, the way Brentford pressed him, they forced him into defensive mistakes, didn't they? Brentford played really well in exposing him.
Exactly, and you're exactly the same team, but you've just got better players as well, like in terms of finishing and stuff. So I think you could even punish us even more. So that's why I think it could be a repeat of last year, maybe even worse. So it's hard not to go for Salah, and I think most people will captain Salah this week because of that result last year. I think that's the main reason, and they'll look at what Brentford did to us last week, and I think they'll put 2 and 2 together, and I think he'll be really heavily captained this week. Right.
I think just your recent form is enough for people to just. I think United at the minute is a great fixture for most teams. Unfortunately, for you.
Yeah, unfortunately,
we'll
I agree.
See.
Yeah,
could surprise us. We'll see.
I hope so, but I don't see it. But yeah,
no.
Right then, so let's have a look at how my team is lining up for game week 3. So in net, we've got Ramsdale, Bournemouth away. I think that has got a clean sheet written all over it. The only reason I say that is because I think Arsenal will be disappointed in conceding 2 to Leicester in the way that they did, but the fact and how they bounced back when they conceded straight away to get another goal, I think they'll be really on it this time around. And I think Bournemouth don't look fantastic going forward. I mean, Solanke, their main scorer, has been put on the wing, I think, and they're starting that Kiefer Moore. So the only danger it could be is from set pieces and corners. But I think Arsenal's got enough to kind of deal with that when it comes into the box. So I'm happy with him. I've got Ward currently on the bench at Southampton, which it could be a good shout. Southampton are not the best team right now, but also they've scored in the past 2 games, so they could easily score as well. So I'm going with Ramsdale for now. And then we've got Trent Alexander-Arnold against Man United. I think he could definitely like run havoc around that team. I think if I could have 5 Liverpool players in, I probably would. He got a bonus point for literally just making so many passes and so many balls in the box and stuff from the last game, even though it was a draw. So he's not going anywhere, and he's pretty much always going to start in my team. Next up, I've got Lewis Dunk. So I've started Lewis Dunk this week, mainly because Trippier's got City, and as much as I like to think they could do well, I've got 2 players for City, so it just doesn't really make sense for me to include him in there anyway, I think. But Dunk's got West Ham away, and Brighton have actually been better in terms of statistics away from home than they have at home. And West Ham, they've been struggling to kind of score. I know they were a bit unlucky against Nottingham Forest, but coming up against Brighton, who have better defence and a better a better system, and they kind of know what they're doing, I reckon there is quite a high chance that they could keep a clean sheet. It just depends how West Ham respond. And I'm probably more likely to say there's a clean sheet for him than Trippier at City. So that's kind of the reason why he's in there as well. Next after that, we've got Robertson. Same reason for Trent. He could definitely exploit us on the wings. And if he's finding himself in the same positions as what he did against Palace, he will definitely punish us. Especially if you've got Dyer in there who's prone for making a few mistakes himself. And like I said before, with the pressure that Liverpool put on in terms of the press, the fact that we can't handle it and we're not comfortable at the back, it could be a field day, and I'm very, very worried. So at the minute Robertson's in, whether he stays in the team or not, whether 2 is too much at the minute, just with how much they are, we'll talk about that later. Moving on to the next one is Cancello. I mean, again, I don't think he's going anywhere. Watching that game at the weekend, he was just so good for that assist. The calmness that he had on the ball, the little trickery, the fake shot just to turn it and then put it in the box. Because I think it just took a deflection in. I don't think anyone got a tap in or anything. He just looks so good. And I know he's 7 mil, and I know he's a lot of money, but he's just not going anywhere for me. And if I was you, he's probably the player I'd fear most, even more than Haaland, I think. Because he's so highly owned, but also he's just so good to watch. I think he had the most touches in the opposite side of the box again for City 2 weeks in a row, ahead of everyone else, which is just mad to say. He's because he's the number 7 now, isn't he? So it makes sense that he's attacking more as well. But having said that, you still can't believe how attacking he actually is. So he's not going anywhere. Not a chance. Next up, at the minute, I've got Leon Bailey against Palace. I'm not sure if he's going to start, for one, and also I think playing against Palace with that performance that they just had against Liverpool, it could be very tricky to break them down. Having said that, I think Palace might be a bit more open this time, a bit more attacking rather than just on the counter all the time, because I think Villa are a bit weaker, obviously, than Liverpool in that kind of area. But I think at the minute I kind of have to start him just because the only other options I could start Trippier, but again, I'm not entirely confident having Cancello and Haaland against Trippier and starting them all, because you need a specific result for it to do well. And I'm not entirely putting all my eggs in one basket there, I don't think. But he's one who's definitely could be on the chopping block, because the only thing is where do you go? That's the only thing. There's not many places to go, so it could be a case that I might have to look at making other moves, and then Bailey later on down the line when I've got a bit more money. But even though he is probably the priority, that's the only thing. Then next we've got Saka again. Bournemouth, I think, is a great fixture for Arsenal, especially with how on fire they are. And I expect Saka to get something here, because I think Saka's just not. I think he's just not got the limelight like Jesus and Martinelli has in the past couple of weeks. But he's still one of their best players, and he still can create something out of nothing. So if something's not going necessarily well for Arsenal, he's one of the players who could easily pop up with a goal, and then everyone's looking to get on the Saka bandwagon. So I'm happy to keep him. But having said that, the amount of money I could save by moving to Martinelli, then I could upgrade the likes of Bailey later down the line. So it's one of the things, is it worth keeping him for that extra bit of money? Because we don't know, they haven't had a penalty yet as well. So if he is on pens, then it's a little bit more likely to keep him. But because we don't know that yet, it's still a little bit up in the air. But having said that, he's a great player, and I do like him. It's just more money things and how I can invest it somewhere else. It's the same reason for Robertson as well. It's not that I don't like them; it's more just where could I be using that money? Is it going to give me an advantage in the next few weeks? Then we've got Neto against Tottenham. I think this is a difficult fixture for Tottenham, because I do think Wolves are quite a good defensive team. I think Jose Sa is a really good keeper as well. I know, like Son and Kane are world class players, and they could easily beat Wolves. But I also don't think it's going to be as easy as people think. I don't think it's necessarily a great attacking fixture for Wolves. But like I said, for 5.5, I think he's one of the best out there. So he's kind of just there as a bit of a necessity, really, not because necessarily I want to play him. And I think, to be honest, he's been unlucky the last couple of games. I think he got put through last game, and his touch let him down and put him to the wing a little bit, and he kind of crossed it across, and there's no one there. There was another time that I think he had a missed kick shot or something like that, which could have, if he got it on target, could have easily gone in. I think he's been a little bit unlucky, so I'm willing to stick with him a bit longer, because I just don't think he's the main area of concern in my team, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, makes sense.
Then we've got Salah. Yeah, like I said, this week against Palace, he had a tough game. I think Palace just did really, really well. He had a couple of near chances, like you said earlier, and he could easily have buried them, absolutely. And I think if he gets a little bit more breathing space, which I think he will do at United, just based on how we play, he could easily punish us. So he's absolutely not going anywhere, even though he's had that game week 2 curse, as I've mentioned to you last week. He's not scored or anything in like the previous six
it's a weird
seasons
one,
in game week 2. Maybe it got to him a little bit. I don't know, but you wouldn't think it's a thing. But it's happened 6 seasons in a row, so it's quite 5 or 6 seasons, however long Salah's been in the league. A bit mental, but. Yeah, but a bit mental. But so that is the main reason why I didn't captain him last week as well, believe it or not. I think I was looking for an excuse, to not captain him, and I kind of went with that. But it turned out that it was the right decision in the end. Then up top we've got Haaland, Newcastle away. Like I said earlier, he should have had a goal and an assist in that last game, and it would have been a different story this week. I don't think it'll be a walk in the park. I think Newcastle will put up shop. And I think it could be a low-scoring game. I think if they get the goal early, though, it might be a little bit different. But that's just all, he says, she said. We have no idea. So he's not going anywhere. And then we've got Jesus. Same reasons as Saka and Ramsdale. I think Bournemouth are a good fixture for Arsenal at the minute. I think it'll be a good game. And I think Jesus could be a good captain shout. I think if you're brave enough to do it, like some people were last week, 2 goals and 2 assists is just, what more can you ask for an 8 mil forward as well? It's not like he's 9 mil like he was at City last year, and it's not like he's playing on the wing either. He's playing directly up front. So I think he's a really good shout this week, and I don't think he's going anywhere. And I feel sorry for the people who sold him after 1 week, because he had a great game that first week. He just didn't do anything in terms of FPL, but he played well. So if you watch that game, it was just a matter of time, and then he's literally just punished everyone this week for.
That's the thing. You've got to have at least some patience, haven't you, with FPL? You've got to look at Jesus and realise that he's a good player for a good team. He's going to do well. He's great value this
absolutely. Season. And then, as I mentioned on the bench, I've got Ward and Trippier. As I've already said about, they've got City and Southampton. Trippier could come in for Bailey if I hear that Bailey might not start again, because I'd rather have Trippier at least knowing he's going to start than Bailey who's not going to start and come on for a point. Pereira's then in second. Like I said, he's got a flag, but I do expect him to play. But I think Brentford have been playing well these last couple of games, which is why I'm not playing him, because I think it might be a bit of a difficult team to break down. So I'm happy with him second on the bench. And then I've got Archer, who Again, I don't think he got any game time last week, but he did the week before that, so I'm happy just to keep him as third on my bench. But I think that's my team as it is right now before making any transfers. That's how it'll be. Right then, shall we discuss what my transfer plan should be? Because this could be an interesting one.
Yeah.
So in my head, at the minute, there's a couple of weaknesses in there, right? As I've said previously. The big weakness is Bailey. Not starting is worrying. And then his fixtures turn anyway in a couple of weeks. So he was always going to be a potential plan to kind of exit or put on the bench at 5 mil. The issue is he's 5 mil. I've got nothing in the bank. And there isn't really any other 5 mil players I like apart from 2.
Ooh,
one is Jensen from Brentford at 5 mil.
Oh, right, the defender.
He's a midfielder.
Is he a midfielder? Oh,
I think he's a midfielder, is he not?
Yeah,
if he's a defender, then we can't do that.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought he was a defender.
So there's Jensen, and then there is Dewsbury Hall, but I don't really like either of them. If I'm completely honest, it's more a case of if Bailey's not going to start or if he's going to come on for a cameo appearance, I'd rather have someone who's going to play, right? The other option is I could downgrade him to like a Josh De Silva. But then I'd have 2 4.5s, which I don't know how comfortable I am with that. And Josh De Silva is not necessarily guaranteed playing time either. So I'm a little bit unsure, right? So if we put that to the side, I'm also thinking about making some money elsewhere to possibly upgrade Bailey, because I think the players at that price point and below, I'm not exactly, confident about. So I'm looking at how I can make money. Yeah. And the 2 players that I can see doing that, potentially three, are Robertson and Saka. Now, Trippier could be an option, but again, you could downgrade him to 4.5, but then 0.5 on top of Bailey, 5.5. There's not many at 5.5 either. I've already got Neto, bear in mind. So I need more than 0.5, I think. So Trippier is kind of not in that conversation for me because of that reason. And I've already said Trent and Cancello are not going anywhere. I think it's between Saka and Robertson. So my thoughts are Saka could go down to Martinelli to keep, because I think I want triple Arsenal at the minute. I think they're just so good. I definitely want triple Arsenal, right? And that'd give me 1.8 mil because he's already gone up Martinelli by 0.2. So that's scary in itself. But then if you did that, I've got 1.8 then to potentially upgrade Bailey. So you could go to a 6.5 or even a 6. So you could go to the likes of Harrison, Rodrigo, players like that. Potentially you might be able to find some money and go up to Zaha, because I do think Zaha is so overlooked at the minute. And he does, he scored 14 league goals last season and hardly anyone added him in their team. So I think he could be a bit of a differential there. But
you won't be able to afford Zaha, though.
Not right away. Not right away. No, but
right.
But it's because obviously if I do the Saka to Martinelli move, depending on Bailey, like I could maybe delay that another week, downgrade somewhere else, get that little bit of money. But it's a little bit of a kind of a in progress kind of transfer plan as I'm saying it to you right now.
Of course.
But I don't really want to get rid of Saka. That's the thing. I don't want to get rid of him. It's more just, if I get rid of him to Martinelli, how much of a difference is it between them two at the minute? Because right now Martinelli is much cheaper. He's kind of talking himself into being nailed on. Like even when Smith throws back, I feel like he's going to start. He's probably more explosive than Saka. And then if you think about how much money I could gain on that and where I could upgrade elsewhere, it's kind of quite good. But I don't want to get rid of Saka because I think his time's going to come. So I'm a bit unsure about that. But then if we move on to Robertson, now I think he's the one more likely to go. The reason why I say that is because at the minute Liverpool don't look nailed on for a clean sheet like they have done previously. Now, I know they've got United, so like you said, they could easily score, but they also could absolutely get decimated. So you think that could be a clean sheet right there, right? And like I said, they could both get attacking returns against them as well. But I could save nearly 2 million by downgrading him to like a 5 million player. So I was thinking about Cucurella because I've got no Chelsea cover at all. And I know you said that in your team, and it's not necessarily directly to copy you. It's more 2 mil difference is more what I'm thinking to then upgrade somewhere else. That is what I'm thinking. And when I'm looking at the 5 million defenders, he's probably one of the better options. Like there is the Spurs boys as well, but like you said, we don't know who's going to play. There's no way I'm going for Eric Dyer. I'm sorry, but there's just no way I'm going for him.
He's your answer.
he's your answer. Just call on Eric Dyer.
It's too obvious.
He's a Dyer option, is what he is, mate. That's what it is.
Ooh, that hurts.
That's a terrible pun. So, and I think if Chelsea are going to, and Chelsea's like kind of fixtures of the next few are really good as well. I know it was saying about, like Leeds could score and stuff, but I think you could say that about most teams in the league right now. I think everyone's got the potential to score, arguably apart from Everton, because I just think Everton's just really struggling. They've got no striker. If Aaron Gordon goes to Chelsea, they've literally got no one up top. Like Rondon is just a non, he's not good enough. And they haven't got anyone, so I think that's the only case of clean sheet you could lock in for most teams, right? So I'm in two minds. So it could be Robertson down to, like I said, to like a Cucurella or a 5 mil. I mean, it could go to Reece James, but because I know he's punished me the last 2 weeks, even when they've conceded like last week. But I'm still in my kind of like gut feeling, think that he could still go right centre back, and still not. I know his position was unbelievable, but I just think it was really poor defending, if I'm completely honest, because the amount of space that he had was just a bit of a joke, if I'm honest. I think Ben Davies was trying to cover him, and the amount of space I had was just absolutely ridiculous. And I don't know how he had that much space. And I don't think that'll happen too often. But apart from that, I'm really struggling because I just don't know where to go, and I want to give them both more time. But the only way I can get rid of Bailey is with a bit of money, and one of them, someone else has to go, because I can't get the money anywhere else. Unless you go Neto down to like a Josh De Silva, but even then it's not, because Josh De Silva's gone up. I'd only get 0.9, so then I'd be 0.1 off a 6 mil midfielder anyway, which is kind of the target. So then so really they're the only two options, and I'm really struggling in terms of which one to go for. Because again, like I could say, give them one more week, but
it's a tricky one. It is a tricky one. The situation you're in. I agree that you need to sort Bailey out. I think he's the main issue of your team, and I would agree that Robertson or Saka is the best option to do that. I'd probably downgrade Saka, I think, to Martinelli. I mean,
is that your Liverpool bias there?
I don't think so. It's just like, we know how good Robertson's been in the past. I think he's still we were just talking about patience. I think having some patience with Robertson will pay off. I think he could explode in this Man United game. He's so attacking and so far forward. But I understand that, Chelsea, I think Martinelli's such good value at 6 million. He's basically offering what Saka's offering, but he's doing better at the moment, and you're saving almost 2 million. I think it all depends on who you want to upgrade Bailey to, because that'll help you out in terms of how much money you need. If you need to downgrade Robertson to get that 2 million, or if you can downgrade Saka and upgrade someone with that 1.8 million. I think Harrison and Rodrigo are good shouts. There's Pascal Gross as well at Brighton, who's doing really well. He's on 5.6.
I'm not interested. No, I'm not interested in it at all.
Brighton's fixtures are good.
It's not the fixtures that I don't doubt. It's Brighton as an attacking unit that I doubt. Gross, the 2 goals that he got against United were tap-ins, right? His XGI was like 0.9 0.1 and he got 2 goals. Basically what I'm saying is that he got gifted them goals, right? I'm not convinced by Gross. I think he's a trap, if I'm completely honest with you. If people want to, if you disagree or whatever, I completely agree. But I just think Brighton going forward, I would not put any, dependencies on them. I'd go defensively like I have done.
Fair enough.
And I think he can cover. I think they could cover the likes of what Gross does. I know he got 2 goals against United, but like I said, I think they were. Just because United were absolutely terrible, but they also were tap-ins, and anyone could have been on the end of them, not just Gross. It could have been anybody. So I don't think, for me, he's not an option, really.
Yeah, I think they are looking better with Welbeck there as well, instead of Morpay. I think they are looking like a better team, I don't know. But yeah, I get what you're saying. So there's not too many options, is there, in that price bracket of like 5 to 7 million? There's really, it's kind of slim pickings. So like, if you are set on, well, you're not set obviously, but you have talked about Zaha a few times over the past week. I know you like him. It could be a real good differential.
I do like Zaha, yeah.
But that would mean downgrading Robertson to a Kukurea, which wouldn't be a bad move, I don't think. Yeah. Other than that, I think it's the Leeds boys, isn't it, that look the best? Harrison and Rodrigo.
The only thing is, they've got Chelsea next, but like we both said, I think they could score against Chelsea, right? But if I said to you right now, you have to go for Harrison or Rodrigo, who would you go for? Because I know who I'm leaning towards, but I think you might agree, but I'm not sure. So I wanted to hear what you think.
I'm a bit conflicted because Rodrigo's in form, but I think he's also he's the more likely to get rotated over Harrison. Mm-hmm. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably go Rodrigo.
Really? See, I thought you said Harrison because Rodrigo, he's on fire at the minute, but we also know how bad he can be, like in terms of like some of his shots, like the wild shots that he's had. And I know Bamford's gone off injured, which makes him better. Yeah. But Gelhardt's been injured as well, so is Gelhardt going to come back and take some minutes off Rodrigo? Is Rodrigo going to get potentially dropped into like a number 10 role, or is he always going to be playing up front kind of thing? I think
it depends if he continues to perform like he is. I think a lot of it is biased from last season, right? When Rodrigo was not playing well. It could be a new man now under Jesse Marsch. We just don't really know. At the moment, he's on fire, so why not strike while the iron's hot?
True, and I think he would. I think he would be on pens as well, right? Without Bamford there, I think he would be. Could be. And he did, and to be fair to him, he did like kind of meet his expected goal involvement as well. He got like 1.55 and he got 2 goals, so he's like in the right places, and he's like achieving what he's kind of putting out into the results and stuff. So it's good that he's meeting that, and he's not under or overachieving, which means if he keeps up their numbers and he keeps up what he's doing, he could have a really good season. So the only reason I said Harrison was because I just think, maybe it is a little bit biased towards last year when he had some pretty horrible games. Harrison didn't do amazingly, but we know Harrison's a great player, and I think he's probably less selfish than Rodrigo. I think Harrison's probably more of an assister. So I guess it's, do I want goals or assists? And realistically, right now you probably want goals, right? And with the form that he's on, you probably would lean towards Rodrigo. But yeah, it's a difficult one because I didn't.
It is. I'm glad I'm not in your boots. To be fair, it sounds like a bit of a headache.
It is a little
making
bit.
a decision.
Yeah, because
I'm intrigued as to what you decide on. Because I'd be struggling. I just think Martinelli's such good value, and he's only going to rise in price.
I regret not putting him in from day one. I really do. And to be honest, if I got Martinelli in this week, I'd be very tempted to take a -4 and get Rodrigo in, even though he's got Chelsea, because I just don't know if Bailey's going to start, and I feel like if he's going to get me 1 point, and then I feel like if Trippier comes on, or if I play Trippier, I feel like he's going to get me 1 point. So I'm just a bit I don't know I don't know if that's being rash or not, but I know Bailey's probably going to go down in price as well. And I think Saka could potentially go down in price. I'm also thinking, do I do that? Because Martinelli could go up again. And then therefore, it's costing me like 0.3 mil, which is a lot. I know it sounds stupid, but
you're
it's
all over the
quite
place.
Yeah, so I'm very tempted by a -4 if I'm completely honest. Because I think if I got Martinelli and Rodrigo, say if Robertson did perform this week, I think next week I'm quite happy with the team. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if I still had Bailey there, or I still didn't have Martinelli and stuff, I'd still be a bit annoyed. But if I just take this now, I feel like I'd be a bit happier come next week. Having said that, something could go completely wrong, and I could be in the same situation next week. But yeah, Bailey just doesn't fill me with hope. But then again, if he starts and he gets a goal and I've sold him, I'll just be really annoyed. But what can you do? It's pass and parcel of FPL.
That's the game, isn't it?
And it's the same as Saka.
I mean, we're going to say, as soon as you sell Saka, he's going to bang, isn't he?
He's going to bang, and that's what I'm saying.
If you could go Saka to Martinelli and Bailey to Zaha, that'd be perfect. But you're 0.2 off, aren't you?
Yeah, and that'd be great.
Zaha's playing as a number 9 now. He's like the main striker for Palace now.
I know, and
it looks like it anyway.
I think he's one I'm going to look to get in over the next few weeks because that's Palace's fixtures turn as well again. So I think they've still got a couple of difficult fixtures in the next few, but then after that they turn. So I think he's one to look out for. And my God, like he buried that finish against you guys on Monday. Like he ran that, and he should have got a second as well, which I think he hit the post. So he can definitely score. It's just like he has his moments, doesn't he? Like he could do nothing for like weeks, and then the minute you sell him, he scores, and you're like,
he's a very shaky asset, and you never quite trust him all the time. I've never been a huge fan of him as an FPL asset. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Me neither, really. But I think it could be a good differential because I don't think many people's going for him. But yeah, that's my plans. I think it's still up in the air. I think I'm more likely I'm going to get in. I think I'm probably going to get rid of Saka to Martinelli, I think. Even though I don't want to. But I think I'm going to have to just to get rid of Bailey. It's more just to get rid of Bailey is the issue.
Yeah, I'd agree with
and I think Martinelli's still good. Do you know what I mean? He's still a good option. So it's almost like a like for like, if you like, but for 1.8 mil less. That's how I'm looking at it, or trying to convince myself anyway. So I guess we'll see. But I think that is probably where I'm leaning towards at the minute. Right then, so moving on to captaincy. I think for me, it's between two players.
You're still unsure. You're all over the place this week.
Oh, I'm very all over the place. It's because I've had two like distinctly average weeks. Right, they've not been good or they've not been bad. I think I'm probably being a bit more, pessimistic about my team, but I think Bailey is clearly the issue, so he's got to go, and it's put me in two minds. But I think I'm not in two minds about my captaincy at the minute. I think it's on Salah, and I think for all the reasons that I said when your captaincy decision, they not just Salah, the whole team could have a field day against United at the minute, and I think with just the way you press, it's going to cause us issues. And whether it's Salah getting a tap in, or whether it's like forcing an error from De Gea again, or Martinez or anything like that, I think I can't see anything but a victory at Old Trafford. Unfortunately, it kills me to say, but I think it's the way, and I think this could be a key thing going throughout the year for United, which is what I'm worried about. So I think it's Salah, but I think a very close second is Jesus. The only reason I'm not going for him is purely because I think the better fixture at the minute is Salah against United. I think just based on the last two performances, I just think that's what it's about. Because if not, if Brentford may have won us 1-0 or something, and it wasn't a mistake and it was a good goal, then I might lean more towards Jesus. But because it was so like a battering within 35 minutes. Like, we went 4-0 down in 35 minutes as well, not even over 90. I just think I can't see anything but... And it kills me to put it against, because if I'm going to watch that game, it's going to be horrible. But then, I can check it on Tuesday and be like, well, I've got points at least. That's all I can think. That's all I can do. But I still think anyone who wants to go Jesus is a great shout. I can't see... He was unlucky the first game. He obviously over-delivered on the second game. I think he had an XGI of 1.96, so he got double the amount of goal involvements than expected. But with the form that he's on in pre-season, I mean, why would you not have this guy in your team? Like, it's just not a decision right now, is it? Like, you've got to get him in if you've not got him, surely.
You'd think, yeah. I mean, you should have started with him, really. Most people, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But... Yeah, and if you didn't, maybe you were banking on Arsenal being a bit, shaky to start with, but they've done the complete opposite, which is good for them, because they've had a couple of bottled seasons, last year losing out on Champions League to Tottenham. They really need to get on it this year. Yeah, good for them.
Well done,
it's all right. I like Tottenham and I like Arsenal, to be fair, so I'm not really bothered who finishes higher. I prefer them two to finish higher than Chelsea, if I'm completely honest. Either of them for me will do. But yeah, the only other thing were Haaland, but I just think everything we've said today, it leans me against either a low-scoring game, or I genuinely could think it could be like a 0-0 or something. I really think St James's Park will be difficult to break down, and Haaland's 2 touches the last game doesn't fill me with confidence. But if they whip in the right ball, if he could have 1 touch and still score, that's how good he is. But I'm not more confident than Salah against United. Absolutely no chance.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I think you made the right call there, and I'm excited to watch the game.
Yeah, I'm not.
Right, so there we go then. That was our team selection for game week 3. I'm looking forward to it. You were a bit all over the place in terms of your transfers, so I'm intrigued to see what your decision is. We'll post our final teams on Twitter and Instagram, so go follow us on there. But yeah, are you confident this week? A bit more confident than last week, or are you not so much?
I'm an emotional wreck. Is what I am. I'm backing Liverpool against United. So I'm not happy about it, but I feel like it makes the most sense. And I've got some decisions to make, which I'm still not, confident on. And if I do take a -4, I'm already starting with on one leg behind everyone else. So I'm not exactly. But I think in the long run, the decisions that I make might be better for the team.
Yeah, it's early days, isn't it?
It's early days, but it should. When you see everyone doing really well, it's like just a couple of decisions that I've made. I've got a bit different.
There's a lot though that aren't doing well. I think it's so early. It's okay to be in the millions at the minute, innit? In the millions rank, because we're only 2 game weeks in. Let's not get carried away. Your team still looks good. I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. I keep looking at the team, and I think it looks a decent team, but it's more just them couple of players are punishing me, and it's the couple of players that I didn't want to punish me have. Do you know what I mean?
Of course. So,
and I think that's pass and parcel because they're good players, but also I think the players that I've had have just been maybe unlucky, like Saka not being involved. Would you ever say that last year? No, not really. He should be involved. Yeah. Like Bailey was a bit of a punt. Like that's the one caveat. He was always a punt anyway, and he was only temporary. But I forgot to realise that how I get out of not having Bailey is an issue because I've got no money. So I forgot to think about that early on. Probably I didn't think it would be this much of an issue this quick. No. I thought it might have had a bit longer, but yeah, he's the only issue. But apart from that, I'm fairly happier because it's because I was looking at Kieran Trippier on my screen. I thought happier. That's probably why. Yeah.
Well, it should be an interesting one. Let's see how we get on.
Yeah, let's see how we get on.
Yeah, subscribe, and we'll be back here next week to tell you all about it.
Absolutely, guys. See you next week.
See you then.